be teaching a empath workshop. This is for highly sensitive people, empaths, and light workers. I'm setting up the space because we're going to be in kind of like we will be in a energetic, oh, thank you for saying I look cute. So we are going to be in a energetic healing space together. And so I am setting up for that. And so I'm using some incense. It's looking a little crispy today. I'm using some incense to help cleanse everybody's auric field and your energy body. That's very important for empaths and light workers because we tend to hold on to people's stuff very often. And so I figured I would do this at the beginning for anyone who might need it. So you can ask, the sage. I'm also projecting Reiki energy, and you can ask it to take away anything that is no longer yours. You can say, I am releasing anybody's stuff or energy, feelings, thoughts, or emotions that are not mine. Okay. So I'm going to be in here for about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to talk really fast because I have a lot of information. I just talk fast in general. And so after every slide, I'm going to take a pause to answer questions. So when I originally put this class together, it was 3 hours long. It was a lot longer than I had anticipated, but we're not gonna go that long today. And I just have been having a lot of empaths and light workers come into my lives recently, and I can feel you in there, if that makes sense. And so my guides have said, hey, we'd really like you to teach this class again. This is my first time teaching a workshop on TikTok. I usually do them on like Zoom. I do not have it actually, I do have it recorded. It was my first time ever leading a really big workshop, though, when I did it. And so it's like 3 hours long. It's very long, and it's a little, it's my first class. If anybody wants a recording, I'll send it to you. You can send me a message on Instagram, and I will send it to you. It's a Zoom. It's like a 3 hour long Zoom. I do have a recording. So this is my first time doing it live with people. Oh, it was live then, but I mean live on TikTok. Okay, so I have my laptop. This is where I have all my information, so I'm going to be referring to that on the side here if you're wondering why I'm looking over to the side. And I'll show you some pictures and images like as we go along here. I know it's inverted. It'll be fine. I'm going to read most of it anyway. Hey, Wizard of Texas. Hey. Okay. So we use some sage to help clear away anything that is no longer serving us. Oh, thank you saying about my coffee mug. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to use my Selenite Wand. We're going to get started in just a second. This is my Selenite Wand, and I've programmed it and asked it to help pull away anything from your etheric body or your auric field that you do not want in there anymore. So this could be thoughts, feelings, emotions. This could be other people's energy, other people's stuff. This can be physical ailments. And so whatever that you're feeling right now that you don't want in your system, you can ask my Selenite Wand to take it from you, and then I cleanse it afterwards. Okay, so I'm not holding on to people's stuff. So I'm going to just put this over everybody. If you want to receive the healing from it, you can just say yes. You can say it in your mind. You can say it out loud. Okay. And so I'm just taking anything that is no longer serving you or is not yours off of your etheric body. Oh, glad you like it. Okay, we're going to get into the PowerPoint and everything in a second. I just really feel like a lot of people in here, if you're in here because you're an empath or you're a light worker or a highly sensitive person, or you work with a lot of people like nurses, teachers, you need some clearing. Empaths, everybody needs to clear people's stuff off that's not yours, because we'll get into it. That's what I'm going to be teaching on today. Okay. Thank you for all the likes. It gets more people in so they can stay for the class. You are such a good speaker, and I'm drawn to your energy. Oh, thank you. That is like the highest. That is the highest compliment that I can receive, is somebody saying I like your energy, because that's you at like a soul level. So thank you. I appreciate that very much. And I'm just doing an energetic cleanse on everybody right now. And if you're just now joining in and you didn't get the first part of it, that's okay. The healing expands across all space, time, and dimensions. I'm an empath, and I stumbled upon this. Wow, my guides must know I needed this today. My guides knew somebody needed it too. So that's what we're doing. All right. So we're done with the clearing, and I'm going to, because we're all in a healing space together right now, and we're working on an astral plane level, or that's my intention, is I'm going to use this Florida water spray. This is protective spray, and this is good protection for your etheric body. And so if you want to accept this, you can just say yes. You can say it in your mind, you can say it out loud, but it's just to keep you safe on the astral healing plane. Okay. And then I have chakras, or everybody has chakras in their hands, but I like to project Reiki energy. And so I want you to feel safe and protected while I'm doing that. And so I'm going to spray it on my hands too. Okay. I like that. I use Florida water all the time. Yeah, it smells really good too. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to use this peppermint oil that I have, because peppermint oil is good for clearing energy. And it's very energizing, and it's good for like mental clarity. And so we can all receive the information together. Okay. I'm running out here. Okay. And it's good for congestion. And so I'm just going to wave this over. Does it attract to? What are you asking if it attracts? Like, yeah, the peppermint oil. Are you asking if it attracts something? Oh, abundance. Okay. I don't know necessarily that it attracts abundance, but I can tell you that when you have a monkey mind going and you're trying to manifestation, you're really stressed and you're anxious, it's hard to pull things into your frequency. And so peppermint oil, like I said, is good for mental clarity. It kind of like, when you activate your physical senses, like smell, touch, taste, like all of them, it makes you be in the present moment. And so you forget about all of that, like being in the past and the future and projecting, right? And so peppermint, if you put it on your hands or you put it like on your neck area, it calms your central nervous system. And if you have a calm central nervous system, it is easier to manifest and see timelines that you're trying to get on. If you're super stressed out and you're in fight or flight mode, it's really hard to do that. So in a roundabout way, yes, peppermint oil will help with that. Okay. So a lot of people say cinnamon helps with manifesting. Cinnamon helps. The way that I believe in manifesting is more like intentional based. Like a lot of people do rituals, and that's good for your subconscious. That makes sense. Like sometimes like external tools really help our subconscious bring things into our frequency. Okay, so I talk really fast because I have a lot of information. So after each slide, I'm just going to take a short break and then answer any questions that come up. And so I'll be in here for like an hour and 15 minutes. I'll get through as much as I can. Okay, so first, welcome to Empath Masterclass. I'll explain why I'm teaching this class. So I lived with a lot of anxiety and depression my whole life. Like I experienced a lot of trauma when I was a child, and I didn't understand why I felt things so intensely, and everybody called me like way too sensitive. And it was very difficult for me to be around people. Hey, hippie girl, hey. It was very difficult for me to be around people. It made me very anxious, and it was very overwhelming. And like I said, I had a lot of anxiety and depression, and I was like, I don't like people. And it wasn't until I was 27 that I heard the word empath, and I said, ooh, what is that? And I started looking into it, and I said, oh, that's what is going on in my life. And so when I started researching it, I was like, oh, there's all these tools that will help me. And something also that I had realized, and we'll get into this a little bit more, is that I was also in victimization mode. Not saying that horrible things don't happen to us, because they definitely did to me. But sometimes what happens is we give a lot of our power to people and things, and then we don't realize that we need to take our power back, and that being an empath is actually a blessing. A lot of times that you think it's a curse, because it's like, oh, all of this stuff, I just feel it all the time, and it's very overwhelming. It can be, unless you have the right tools and then use it intentionally, and it's very beneficial for your life and other people. So I just practice. I listen to thousands of hours of empath material. I also have a background in psychology and mental health. That's what I did before I do what I do now. And now I bring the spirituality with the psychology. And so I work with chakra systems, I work with your etheric body, your energy body, and then I bring the psychology portion into it as well. So you're going to get a little bit of both here. Let's see, exact timeline of the empath awakening, how I discovered my empathic abilities. Okay. Yes, we are going to get into all the things, okay, that I have learned along the way. So that is why I'm doing this class. Because when not that people can't afford it in here, but that was me. When I started on my journey, I didn't have a lot of finances and I didn't have enough money to get a coach, to get a life coach. And so I looked as many free resources as I possibly could, like YouTube videos, podcasts, what have you. And so this is a way for me to give back for the people that did that for me. So I am giving this, to people, this information, because we're all going through this big collective shift right now from a 3D separateness consciousness to 5D unity consciousness. And so this is my way of helping people with the shift. And plus it's really scary when you're an empath and you don't know what's going on, or you don't even know you're an empath. It's very intimidating because it's like, why can't I function properly in the world? Like everybody else seems to be doing just fine and I'm not. So it can make you feel cuckoo loco. Anyway, I go off on a little tangent sometimes, so that's okay. All right, so again, welcome to Empath Masterclass. I'm just going to go through these slides that I have written and put together, and then we will talk about them. I study psychology too. I think it gives an empath to see things in different angles. Absolutely. Psychology and being an empath go hand in hand. Like the more that you can delve into psychology and how your brain works and how other people work, it helps you mitigate being an empath. Absolutely. Okay. So first, I like this quote. It's by Henry David Thoreau, and I'm going to read to everybody. It says, "Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant?" So being an empath, what we are able to do is we are able to, let's say that there's Jane in front of me, okay? So I'm here, I'm talking to Jane. I can literally feel her sadness and grief, or even her happiness and joy or peace. I can feel everything that she is feeling inside of my body, inside of my system. So if you are going into a lot of public places where there's a lot of different energy going on with different people, it can be very overwhelming because you're feeling everybody's stuff. And so as an empath, we can literally feel those feelings and emotions in our body. Not only can we feel emotions and feelings in our body, you can feel people's thoughts and you can read their subconscious. Okay, so I'll give you an example of that, because a lot of people, I didn't know that. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh, now it makes sense. So we have Jane over here that I'm talking to. So Jane is having a conversation with me. And I can tell at a subconscious level why she's experiencing the things in her life that she is, because of the things that happened to her in childhood that are the root issues that are causing things. But Jane herself may not be aware of those. So it's like you can take a very deep dive into people's subconscious when you're talking to them, but they may not be aware of what those things are yet. And so what that looks like is anybody in here had conversations with people and they are not hearing what you're saying? They do not understand what you're saying. You are on different wavelengths because you are talking to their subconscious, but they are not conscious of that. And you said all the time, yes. And so it's like you're not matching up on your wavelengths, and it's no fault of theirs because they haven't processed through that yet. That is just a natural ability that empaths and light workers have, is that we can go into your subconscious and I don't want to say like root around against somebody's will, right? Because a lot of times people want us to do that because that is why they're attracted to us. Because they're like, I have all these problems that I can't figure out, and so I'm going to give it to you because subconsciously you can get into my subconscious and help me work the program out. That's why people are attracted to us, because we can get real deep into their soul and then see what's going on and give that back to them. However, The downside to that is it can make us feel very disconnected from people because they're like, why aren't they doing that for us? Right? And so it's not an equal energy exchange. And that is very exhausting to deep dive into people's subconscious at all times. And I'm not telling you to do this against somebody's will. But sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. Like until you know that you can do this, sometimes you don't know you're doing it. And so a lot of times that's why people that have a lot of things going on in their life are just like naturally drawn to us because we just do that. But it hurts us when we're just all willy-nilly doing that all day long with people because it's exhausting. And then we're like, well, how come nobody gets us? How come nobody wants to do that for us? Because people can only meet you with how deeply they've met themselves. So you can get in their subconscious and root around in there and help them, but that doesn't mean that they can do that for you because they may not be an empath. Maybe they aren't on that level of a healing journey yet, right? And so, we'll get into more of like how you need to fix that. But it just being aware that that is what you're doing really significantly helped me because now I can turn it on and I can turn it off. It's like a light switch. When somebody comes up to me and is trying to energetically dump their stuff onto me, I can do an assessment and I can say, is this person going to do that for me? Do I want to intentionally do that with them? I have a choice now because now I know. So that's why I want to reiterate this to everybody in here, that you have the choice to do that with people. I know that I'm talking very like, rah, rah, rah. I get into mom mode sometimes. So I apologize if it comes across that way. But you have the choice to do that. You can say, is this person going to give me that back? If not, you don't have to do it. You do not have to get around and root in that in the subconscious. Okay? If you do feel like they're going to give you an equal energy exchange, do that. Or if you do it for a profession, like I read Akashic Records and I do Reiki. So people pay me to do that. That is an energy exchange. So in that case, I do go root around in people's subconscious. But I have an equal energy exchange because I'm getting paid for it. 27 years of my life, I was just out here doing that all day long with everybody I came in contact with, trying to deep dive into their soul, deep dive into their subconscious, and I burnt myself out. And then I thought I didn't like being around people because it was energetically exhausting to do that all day long. And it wasn't until I was aware of what I was doing, and now I am, and so I can be out in public, whatever, and people try and give me stuff, or people look at me and they're trying to get me to raise their frequency, and I can be like, no, I'm not doing that. I have to save my energy for the people who are inside of my inner circle or my job. And that's okay. We only have so much energy every day. You have to do an assessment of how much energy you have every day and how you're going to utilize it. But we'll get into that more. Okay, I know there's a lot of people talking in the chat right now. I apologize if I miss things because I get real hyper-focused on talking. Random people come up to my mom and used to say, why, I talk to you a lot, everything's talk. Okay. Okay, yes. As empaths and light workers, we naturally raise people's frequencies. So I'm going to give you an example of what used to happen to me. And thank you for all the likes. It helps get more people in here. So what used to happen to me is I was incredibly self-conscious and had zero self-esteem. Because when I used to go out in public, I would feel like people are staring at me all the time. Not in like an egotistical way, but I would feel people's negative projections towards me. And I thought that there was something wrong with me. I thought that it was people staring at me because they didn't like me, or maybe it's because I didn't like myself. Okay, so you just feel like people are always staring at you and giving you like nasty looks. Does that sound like anybody in here? Men being perceived can be so scary. Yeah, just people looking at you, like, right? Okay. So anxiety is definitely a symptom of being an empath, 1000%, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So if you feel like people are looking at you when you're out in public, This is why. Because we naturally raise people's frequencies. And so if you're in Walmart, okay, if you were in Walmart and you have all these people looking at you, what's happening is they're like on a subconscious level, energetic level, they are looking at you because they're like, oh, there's a beacon of light that knows how to raise frequencies. And so I'm going to project all of my subconscious beliefs onto them so that they can raise my frequency up. Does that make sense? They're like, oh, that's a being of light. Not saying other people aren't. I'm not saying that we're like some special group of people. I'm just saying that that's just something that we naturally do, is we help people raise their frequency up. And that we also have that ability to go into people's subconscious. And so they project their energy at us. And so we do that. That's why people just come up to us all the time and they're like, let me spill out my guts and everything that's happening in my life. And then what happens is that, and we are special. We are. I'm not saying we're not special. I'm just saying there's no above or below. And so they project all of their stuff at us, which is very intense, right? And then that makes us anxious and it makes our fight or flight go on. And so that is definitely a symptom of being an empath, because it's like if people are constantly pointing their projections at you, their subconscious beliefs, their thoughts, their feelings, asking you to energetically help them, it's exhausting. And the really negative thing that happens if you don't know you're an empath and you're just letting that happen to you all day is that your body does not know the difference between somebody else's thoughts, feelings, emotions, and your own. So what I was doing in my life was I was helping everybody and everything and everybody's mom, everybody, and I wasn't taking time to decipher what was mine and what was somebody else's. And so I was internalizing everybody's anxiety and sorrow and grief and sadness and trauma. And so I ended up doing double and triple the amount of shadow work that I actually needed to do. So I was incredibly depressed and anxious and said, what is wrong with me? Why am I so incredibly miserable? And what happens is emotions and lay on top of each other. So this is how it works. So, we'll just take, this is me. Okay. So this is me. This is my emotional body. Okay. Right. If you're an empath and you don't know that you're taking on other people's stuff, their sadness, grief, sorrow, anxiety, trauma layers on top like this. It just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers all the years. Just layers of trauma, anxiety, and just all the stuff that's not yours. And so what ends up happening is you're trying to work through all of this and you're not even fixing your own stuff. You don't even have the time or energy to fix what's inside of you. And when I say fix, I mean heal. You don't have time to heal the things inside of you because you're healing through stuff that's not even yours. None of that is yours. And when I realized that, I was like, whoa, it was like a huge weight had been lifted off of me. I was like, oh, I'm not really that anxious and depressed. It's just that I'm absorbing other people's stuff and it's making me feel way more anxious and depressed than I actually am. I had to walk away from everyone to work on myself. Yeah, sometimes you have to. Like sometimes you just have to isolate yourself. And I don't mean permanently, but you have to, and we'll get into that too. What ended up happening with me when I found out I was an empath is I had to really do an assessment over all of my relationships in my life and how I was going through the world, because as empaths, we naturally attract narcissists, and we naturally attract energy exchanges that are not equal in relationships, because sometimes we take on the savior complex of let me help everyone I possibly can. You don't have the time or energy to do that. You just don't. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way, is I literally do not have the energy or time, because I don't have enough time for me. I never have enough time or energy for me if I'm helping everybody else. And that's not a selfish thing. It's a self-preserving thing. And when you start working on yourself and focusing on internal and what you need first, then you have enough energy to help other people. And you find the people who give you equal energy exchanges. The people who I have in my life now, when we have things that we're working through, before it would be me up here helping them lift them up. Lift, 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 lift. Okay? Now, the people I have in my life, it's equal. We help each other on the same level. We can hear each other. We can help each other. And so it's not exhausting for either of us, even though we're going through some tough stuff. Okay, I'm going to try not to curse on here, because I don't know who else kids in the background. Anyway, how can you tell you're an empath? Okay, we're going to get into that. I went on like a real big rant there. So, I'm going to get into these slides here. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, just like a little bit. What do you do if you want to help people in your life, but they're not giving you an equal energy exchange? We're going to get into that. Okay, we're going to get into it. So I know these pictures are inverted. That's okay. So this is my dog, Daisy. We love her. She's very sweet. She's my old lady. This is my pug. This is Mr. Pugs. Okay. So a little bit more about me. So I'm really into psychology. I love psychology. That's what I did for schooling. And then I'm really into Reiki. I do Reiki for people. That's channeling life force energy to help you heal. And then I also read Akashic Records. That's your book of life. So I do that. I love EDM. I'm very big into EDM. I love festivals. Actually festivals are how I found myself. Like that actually is what spurred my spiritual awakening, being at a festival, my first festival in 2015. I'm a very big proponent, and we don't have to get into that, but also, if you can see here, so EDM is electronic dance music. So like the bum, 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 bum. And they have really big music festivals. So I really love helping empower people, especially empaths, and so that you can authentically express yourself and be yourself, because that's what we need more in the world. I have to go. I can't finish this. Can I make a phone call appointment with you? Do you have slots? Yeah, if you want to. I do Empath 101 sessions and Spiritual Awakening sessions. There's a link in my bio up here. It's Empath 101s, Spiritual Awakening 101s, but you can schedule a phone call with me and then we can have a chat. Also, I have a recording of all of this. It's 3 hours long, and it was my first one I did, so I'm not as versed as I am now. But if anybody does want the recording, you can message me on Instagram, like send me a private message, and then I'll send you the Zoom and the PowerPoint that I'm reading from. Okay. I love your Reiki, EDM Reiki. Yeah, I do EDM Reiki. It really resonates in my body, and it helps raise my frequency so that I can help raise other people's frequency. Okay. Table of contents. We don't need to read that. Okay. So now we're on the slide of what is an empath. And so I'm just going to read these. I know it's a lot, but a lot of people experience different things. And so I want everybody to get a grand scope of what this looks like. If we have questions afterwards, I'll answer those. And I want to say you do not have to experience all of these. Okay? Yeah, I did a big old PowerPoint in a 3-hour recording. Okay, so what was I going to say? I just lost what I was saying. Oh, you don't have to resonate with all of these, just if you do with some of them or the majority, okay? Empaths are also known as highly sensitive people and light workers. They all are in tandem with one another, okay? All right. A lot of empaths and light workers are also ADHD. They have ADHD or ADD, or are autistic, or they're manifesting generators. There's a big wheelhouse. And so if you resonate with one of those, this information is probably going to be very beneficial for you. Okay? All right, so what is an empath? An empath is someone who is highly aware of the emotions around them. So that's like you can walk in a room and you know the vibe of the room before you walk in it. Okay, and I would like to say something, just like a side tangent. You do not have to be born an empath. Sometimes you experience a lot of trauma and a lot of PTSD, and it makes you hyper aware of your surroundings because you weren't safe. And so it makes you hyper aware of everybody and everything because you feel like you just aren't safe in your environment. And even if you logically now are safe, your inner child or your younger self is the one that's getting triggered and making you hyper aware. Okay? Empath and ADHD, yeah, they go like hand in hand with each other. Sometimes, not all the time, not all the time. Okay, you feel the heaviness in the room. Yeah, you can feel the vibe. You can sense the vibe before you get in there. That is a survival tactic. That is because you have experienced PTSD or trauma, maybe, possibly. I have. And so you have to read the room to ensure your safety, if that makes sense. Okay, this is getting me. Okay, good. I'm glad it's resonating. Okay. So, empaths can feel like a fog. Yeah, sometimes it makes you like disassociate too. We don't have to get into all that, but so empaths can feel emotions in their bodies. So this means if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I can feel their sadness in my body. All of a sudden, I'm sad. I might have been happy-go-lucky, cheerful, like in the morning time, and then I go have conversations with people, and now I'm depressed, and now I'm sad, and now I'm angry. That's because you took on that person's energy body and are transmuting it through your body. Okay? I have tinnitus in my ear, so I constantly hear the ring. I'm not saying that you don't have tinnitus. Okay, but one of the signs of spiritual awakenings is that you get ringing in your ear, and that's your guides trying to get a hold of you. They're trying to call you. Not saying you don't have tinnitus. I'm not a doctor, but that is a spiritual awakening thing also. And so if you're having that happen, ask yourself, what was I thinking about just before that happens? And usually that's your guides trying to say like, hey, you need to be mindful of what you were thinking about. Okay, anyway, side note. Okay. Can feel others' physical pain and their intentions. So if you are around somebody, especially me, this is not everybody, but if somebody gets hurt around me, I feel that in my body. I feel sick. Like repeating numbers are also, yes, we'll get into that. I feel sick and nauseous when somebody gets hurt around me because I can tap into their energetic body and transmute it through mine. Okay, so intentions. So intentions are like if you feel, this is the vibe thing that we're talking about. So if you feel like somebody is trying to be deceitful with you, if they're trying to manipulate you, if they're trying to make you feel a certain way, if they're gaslighting you, you can just feel that. Like you know what they're doing, right? I want to preface this with sometimes we project things outside of us. So you have to really have a conversation with yourself and say, is this my own self-projection onto this person, or is that really how they're treating me? Because I had very low self-esteem and self-confidence for a long time, and I was projecting that outside of me and thinking people didn't like me. The fact was that that was my own internal feelings. But now, since I've been on this journey for so long, I can tell when people are not holding good intentions for me and when I don't need to be around people because they have like, even if somebody isn't consciously aware of what they're doing, like some people gaslight people and they don't even know they're doing it, but you know they're doing it. Because you can get into their subconscious and you know what they're doing. So you also have to be a little compassionate with people. Not saying to be compassionate with gaslighters and stuff like that. I'm just saying that sometimes people aren't aware of their behavioral patterns within themselves. You, as an empath or a light worker, are aware of them. So that is a question that you need to ask yourself of, does this person need to be in my life? Because one, I don't need to be their savior. I do not need to teach them their behavioral patterns. We'll get into that some more. But it's not your responsibility to teach people their behavioral patterns. Okay? You married a gaslighter? I did too. I didn't marry mine, but I was with mine for 7 years. It was a journey. Okay. We naturally attract gaslighters. and narcissists, because they get energy from, they take energy from people. That's how they get their energy, and we give energy. So it's like this really nasty cycle that you get in. Okay. Okay. So people, possible to hear subtext of someone's thoughts. Okay. This was something that really blew my mind. So subtext. Subtext is what the person is saying without their words. So you can be having a conversation with someone and they're not being completely honest with you, but you can hear or feel how they really feel, right? But they may not be consciously aware of how they really feel. Does that make sense to everybody? So like, I'll take for an example, okay? So let's say that you're having a conversation with your friend and they're very angry. And they don't know why they're angry. They have been in this angry state. You might be picking up on like, oh, that probably has to do with the issues that you have with your dad. Like you went through some trauma with your dad that you didn't process, and now I see coming out as a behavioral pattern right now. But you can tell them that all day long, but that does not mean that they're going to process that, because they have not reached that level of healing within themselves. So you can say that to them and that might be true, but they don't understand what you're saying because they haven't gotten down in there yet. And so that's what I mean when your wavelengths don't match up, when your frequencies don't match up. They're not hearing what you're saying. They're not ready to hear it. Okay. Okay. That's a fun one when fighting with my husband. Yeah, sometimes people just don't, like sometimes as empaths and light workers, we just get real deep down in there and people aren't ready to process through that yet. But we can hear what's the root cause of the issues. But you can't explain that to somebody if they don't know that about themselves yet. Okay? And it's not your responsibility to do that either. And we'll get more into that. Anyway, okay. Interpret others' emotional states as their own. So this is when you go into stores, you go into restaurants, you go into conversations with people, and all of a sudden your mood changes out of nowhere. You're like, oh, I was so happy and like, yay, beforehand, and now like, bleh. So that is you taking on somebody's emotions in your body and completely changing your frequency. Like you let that happen. That is no fault to you. Because if you don't have the toolkit to not do that, it just happens. And that's why I'm here telling people how to do it. Okay? So you cannot, okay, I want to say this too. You can take on other people's feelings, thoughts, and emotions, but you can also take on people's personas. Has that ever happened to anybody? And you get home and you're like, why the heck did I act like that? Why the heck did I say that? That's not me. Like, why did that happen? And so you can take on somebody's whole personality. Okay, I've had that happen before. If you're around somebody that has a very strong, intense energy that overlays on top of yours, you can mold into their personality temporarily. Okay? I've had it happen when I'm around really strong-willed people that have big energy bodies. Okay, so that's why shielding is so important, and we'll get into that. But I want to say that too, because some of the things that I'm saying right now and I'm harping on is because if you don't know this stuff, it makes you feel psychotic. It makes you feel like you're crazy. Okay? Matching. That's beautiful. Matching. I'm going to say that from now on. Or mirroring. Matching, mirroring. Yes. Okay? Because as empaths, we want to really know, like, we help people heal by stepping into their shoes energetically, like literally stepping into their energetic body in their field. And so in doing that, though, if you're not clearing, you can hold people's personality traits in your body. Okay? All right. And I wanted to say that because I didn't know that for a long time. You could take on somebody's whole personality, but that happens. Okay, you're sensitive to energy shifts with individuals or groups of people. So this is like if you're in a room full of people and the vibe is one way, and then one person walks in the room and then the whole entire energy shifts. So it's not just with people. It can be like whole groups of people or whole areas, right? Okay. You understand where everyone is coming from. So this is a big one. So sometimes as empaths, we will give people too much compassion. And too much, it's okay. And it's all right. And it's not a big deal. Because we get where they're coming from, because we get into their subconscious and we know that they went through a whole bunch of horrible stuff in their life that made them the person that they are now. And now, this is not saying that we're better than anybody, because we have stuff going on too. This is just saying that sometimes we give people too much empathy for treating us like doo-doo or other people. Because we're like, oh, well, they went through all this horrible stuff in their life and, you know, that's why they're like this. No. Like, you cannot do that with everybody. Like, sometimes people, like, just are shitty people. I excuse my language. And I've done horrible things in my life, too. Like, to people and places and things, you know what I mean? Like, we all do stuff like that. But some people, like, that's their mode of living. And you cannot excuse everyone's behavior just because they went through stuff. Everybody goes through stuff. Right? Especially empaths and light workers. Like, some things you just cannot look over, bypass, because you know how it is. Right? Okay. Everybody is responsible for their own behavior. Okay. I do readings. I know there's a lot of people asking, like, can you give me a reading in here? I'm not doing that today. I'm just doing this empath thing, but there's a link in my bio if you do want a reading. Okay. Yeah, you can try and see, okay, I'm going to get off on a little thing here. You can try and see the best in people. This is the thing. You can talk to somebody's higher self, but that does not mean they're going to meet you on this plane. You can talk to somebody's higher self, but that does not mean that's how they're going to act on this plane. That's what empaths and light workers do a lot of time. We see the potential. That does not mean people are going to meet it. Because they have free will and they have choice. So yeah, you can see that all day long, but that does not mean that they're going to meet you here. Okay? All right. You can feel things before they happen. You can feel things before they happen. So that is, I'll give you an example. That doesn't always have to be like psychic. What is the word I'm trying to look? I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't mean that you can tell the future. Sometimes it does. But that means that, like, if you are going to go to an event and then you have a feeling like something wonky is going to happen, or like somebody's going to show up, or somebody is going to, or like something just like negative is going to happen, and then you get there and then it does. That's because empaths and light workers have a premonition. That is what I was trying to say. Premonition. And I'm so sorry about your sister. I'm so sorry. I'm sending you a big hug. I know that's very heavy. So that is, light workers and empaths have the gift because we have extra sensory perceptions. We are able to tap into the astral field, okay, into the astral field and feel vibrations and frequencies before they happen. That is just a natural gift that empaths and light workers have. Okay? That might not be representative for everybody in here. I'm just saying that is a gift that a lot of people have that are empaths and light workers, and ADHD and manifesting generators and people who are autistic. You can tap into the astral field and feel things before they happen because we are attuned for feeling frequencies. Okay? All right, next slide. Does anybody have any questions real quick before I get into signs you might be an empath? Deja vu moments. That is a perfect example because it's you tapping into the field and then experiencing it. Okay? What if I made myself an empath? I was explaining that earlier, and that you don't have to be born an empath. Sometimes you can go through very traumatic situations or have PTSD that makes you hyper aware, like so hyper aware for your own safety, so that you turn on your extra perceptual abilities. So you can even become an empath at like 20. Okay, 30, 40, 50. You can go through something that turns that on. Is everyone an empath? Everybody has empathic abilities. Everybody. That is just a gift that everybody has, but not everybody chooses to hone in on them. And just like everybody has different talents, okay? So everybody has the ability to learn the guitar, almost everybody, right? Some people are born with that gift, a natural gift. So that doesn't mean that other people can't learn that ability for themselves. Okay? So you can be born with it, you can turn it on later, or you can teach yourself. Like, there are different levels to it. But everybody has that within them. It's just, do you want to practice and learn how to do that and how to hone in on them and make them stronger? You don't have to. And some people, like narcissists, have completely shut that off within themselves. They say, I'm not going to give energy, I'm going to take energy. And they have chosen that for their life. And, you know, okay. Okay, so I'm just going to read through these, and I want to reiterate that you do not have to meet all of these. I just like to say all of them in case, you know, there's other people. Like, I don't have all of these things happen, but I have noticed this with empaths, okay? So friends ask you for advice. You prefer deep conversation over small talk. If you have a lot of people in your life that don't want to dive in deep with you, it's because you get into people's subconscious and you want to have those type of conversations. And sometimes people can only meet you as far as they've met themselves. So if you're further along on your healing journey and you're a very introspective, self-aware person and you're dealing with a lot of people that are not, you are not going to match frequencies. And they are not going to understand you at the level that you want them to. Okay, but we'll get in more to how to find those people. Okay, you're a good listener. Nature soothes you. You go outside and you feel calm and relaxed. You require a lot of alone time to recharge. Like, you have to have alone time. Okay, you feel drawn to help others. Like, we just naturally love helping people. You get strong impressions of somebody. That's like your okay. So when I meet people, I very quickly know we're going to get along or we're not. I know that you're going to be one of my really good friends or you're going to be an acquaintance. Like, you can tell very quickly with people. Okay? You find yourself thinking of someone and then they contact you. That's being able to tap into the astral field, the astral plane, and sense things before they're going to happen. And that's a safety thing too. Like, if you've experienced a lot of PTSD and trauma and your extrasensory abilities have kicked on, that's like, you have to feel them before it happens to keep you safe. It's like a trauma response. Okay? Let me drink some water because I'll be talking. Okay. The weather affects your mood. This is what I mean as, it's not just with people. You as an empath or a light worker or a grid worker are tapped into people individually, but then you're also tapped into the collective and global energies. That includes nature, but that also includes like people as a whole. So if you're watching a lot of news, which I do not recommend if you're an empath, because we just take on so much, is that you tap into collective feelings. So if there's a lot of grief in the air, if there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of, you know, stuff going on globally, you can take that stuff on too. Okay? And yeah, the weather can affect us. So you're tapped into the nature grids as well, like the collective grid of nature, Mother Earth. Okay? All right, the weather affects your mood. Strangers tell you their life story. That's because what we talked about before is that we raise people's frequency and we get down in their subconscious, and so they give that to us so we can help, so we transmute it for them. And so what ends up happening is people tell us all their stuff and they feel better and we feel like doo-doo. Because we're transmuting all their stuff for them. Okay? And a lot of times that's because we let that happen. And that's okay. It's like, that's why I'm here, to like help with the shielding. Okay. Ooh, let me restart my music here. Oh. It's a Skechers ad. Hold on. I gotta get through this little tennis shoe ad here. Okay. I have some binaural beats going on in the background, like water, because water is very cleansing. And so I have that in the background, so it's like cleansing everybody at the same time. Okay, I have not seen Amanda Flakers. I'm going to check her out, though. Amanda Flakers. Because I love getting new empath resources. I'm going to give everybody some, too. Amanda Flakers. Okay. So, you have many highs and lows. So, you'll be, like, really, 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 really good for, like, a week, and then you're dead. Not dead. You're burnt out. And then you're really, 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 really good, and then you're down. And this could be a day-to-day thing too. You could be like, I have so much energy. Now I don't. Okay? That's because you have overextended yourself with helping people. So it's like you have all this energy and then you help all these people and then you're not getting any equal exchange and then you're dead. And so I'm glad that made you laugh. And so it's, you know, you only have so much energy a day. And if you overextend yourself, then you're depleted the next day already. Like you're starting from a depleted energy point. Okay. Emotions make you physically ill. So empaths can get very sick. A lot of times that was me. I was just getting like strep throat all the time. Like my body hurt. I was just breaking down physically because I was holding on to people's stuff and transmuting it through my body, and I couldn't sleep. I was oversleeping, I was overeating, not eating enough, having to use caffeine to compensate. Like it was just wrecking havoc over my whole body because I was just holding on to people's stuff that's not mine. Yeah, my body aches. Yeah. It's we are energy in motion. We are our emotions. And so if you are taking on other people's stuff when you already have things that you have going on, it crystallizes the energy in your body and it hardens and it makes you sick and ill. Okay? So setting boundaries can be difficult. You're unable to watch violent cinema. So that's like, it's hard for you to watch scary movies or things that have like torture stuff in it, or just like, because one, it activates your fight or flight, but you can feel the pain and the psychological trauma that people are going through. And so it's very difficult for empaths and light workers to watch things like that because you feel it in your body. I can't watch sad things. I cannot watch scary things, anything where people are getting hurt, because it's like, I just get sick. Okay, does taking antidepressants make a difference for empaths? I am not a doctor, so I cannot recommend whether you should or not. I have taken, I'll just be honest, I have taken antidepressants in my life to help me get through. Antidepressants sometimes can be very numbing, so that's what you have to watch out for. Okay, when I say numbing, it means like, if you are numbing yourself so you don't feel other people's emotions, thoughts, and feelings, that is a band-aid because you're not holding energetic shields and energetic boundaries with people. So that's going to be an ongoing thing forever. So like, I'm not saying antidepressants aren't great because I've taken them before to help me, but you also have to get to the root of the problem of learning how to manage being an empath, because that will never go away. And you'll always have to be on antidepressants for that specifically, because you have to learn how to be an empath and take your power back and learn how to mitigate throughout the world. So antidepressants, like I said, I'm not a doctor, and they can be very helpful. They have been helpful for me, but you can't use them as a band-aid. You have to get to the root of the problems. Okay, I live in Georgia in the United States. It's warm here. It's like 75 degrees outside. Okay. Your mood changes based on your surroundings. So like me, I went to Target last night. I was fine. I went to Target, you know, it's Christmas time, and I told my son, I was like, hey, we're going to put on all these energetic shields and boundaries before we go in here because it's going to be really crazy and chaotic, you know what I mean? And like, you can hold energetic boundaries and shields all day long, right? Which significantly helped me with this Target situation, but I still felt the effects from it. I was fine beforehand, but I was burnt out after I went to Target because there's just so many people's chaotic energy in there. Christmas time, okay? Crowds overwhelm you, feel drained at the end of the day. When I did not know I was an empath and I was just doing whatever all the time and taking on all these other people's stuff, I would come home and I would cry and I would be exhausted and I would be tired and I would be sick. Right? I would just be done for the day. I was over life. And if you keep going in that cycle, it will tear you down spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally if you're not clearing people's stuff out at the end of the day. We're going to get into that. Okay. So, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm going to try and get as much through as I can. Okay, so this is how it affects your body. I think it's very important for people to understand this, so I'm going to talk about it. So this is your body, and our energetic field, our auric energetic field, reaches 6 feet outside of us. Okay? This is why when you walk into a room, you can feel people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions and who they are as a person before they get even in your bubble, because it extends way outside of you. That's empaths and light workers. Like, we have big energetic fields. Everybody has a field, but we have a really hypersensitive, aware field that reaches outside of us, okay? So your energetic field reaches 6 feet out of your body. You may need to set up energetic shields to prevent taking on other people's energy or giving people your energy. We'll get into that. If you get anxious or stressed around others and have sudden mood changes, this might be an indicator that you're taking on someone else's energy. So what I like to, can you be extroverted empath? Yeah, definitely. You can be an introvert, you can be an extrovert, you can be an ambivert. Just because some people need alone time as an empath doesn't mean that everybody does. That's just some people, okay? Some people get energy from being around other people. I don't all the time. Sometimes I do. It depends on the person. But I need a lot of alone time. Okay. So, what was I saying? Okay, indicator that you're taking it. So what I like to say is a good way to tell if you're taking on somebody else's energy is when you have a conversation with somebody, or you go into a restaurant, or you go into Walmart, or you go and you do whatever you do, work. Ask yourself, did I feel this way right before this? How did I feel right before this interaction? If it's, I feel differently, then that means that you took on other people's stuff. And then if you're aware of that, what you can say is, I am releasing everything that is not mine. I am releasing everything that is not mine. So with you being aware of why you had a mood shift and why you had an energy change, that right there will help you immensely. So, like, let's say that you're happy, you're in a good mood, then you go to Walmart, and then, or Target, where I keep saying Walmart, because Walmart's always a little crazy. You go into Walmart, and then you're like, dang, I feel so drained and depleted, and now I'm kind of sad. Ask yourself, did I feel that way right before I went in there? And if the answer is no, I didn't feel that way, or no, I didn't feel that way, then you can just release that and say, like, oh, that's not mine. None of that was mine. None of that was mine. I'm releasing that. Okay, how do we know if it's anxiety versus energy? Okay, so a lot of that is like in tandem with one another, and I'll get into how to decipher that. Give me 1 minute, I'll get into that. I cannot even go into Walmart, the energy is all off. I have gotten to a point in my life where I will do everything I can to not be in huge crowds of people. Sometimes you can't help that, but sometimes I'll just go to different stores that aren't as crazy. Like even Publix, like I don't know if people have Publix, but I used to go to Publix. I don't even shop there anymore. I'll go to, Winn-Dixie. We have Winn-Dixies here in the South, but I'll go to Winn-Dixie because there's less people in there, and it's always very calm and relaxed and chill, and I always have a great time when I go shop there. Okay? All right. Okay. If you feel drained at the end of the day, it's probably because you're holding on to other people's energy. Okay. So this is how it affects your body. Okay. So I'm going to read this while I'm doing it. So if I can get on the screen. So you start worrying and you get afraid, and then your adrenal glands click on, and then your cortisol starts dumping into your body and then goes into your brain, which turns your fight or flight on, and then you start getting sweaty and nauseous, and you want to get away from people, and then you start worrying, and it just goes in this really negative cycle. And so I'm going to read this to you, okay? It says, when you take on others' energy unknowingly, it can activate your central nervous system. That is what is in charge of your fight or flight, okay? Which releases cortisol hormones and triggers your fight or flight response. Unless these energies and hormones are removed from your system, they can wreak havoc on your physical body as well as emotional, spiritual, and mental states, okay? So if you have, I used to be in perpetual fight or flight 24/7. Like just stressed to the max, just so intense. And it's because I was hyper aware and taking on everybody's stuff, right? And so when you're taking on other people's stuff, your body is literally freaking out and saying, I need to get this out of me right now. I am overloading my system. Okay? And so something that is very beneficial for empaths that I cannot stress enough, talking about stress, is doing something that gets those hormones out of your body. Because it's literally a physical reaction that is happening inside of you. And you have to get it out. Otherwise, it will crystallize and harden in your body. And then you get addicted to being in that state. I was addicted to being stressed. Because what happens is you use that as your fuel. It's like people who procrastinate. You wait until the last second because then you get stressed and you're like, oh, I got to get it done. And you may get it done. Like I do. Like sometimes I'll procrastinate and let myself get so stressed out that I use that as fuel, and then I do it, and then I get a good grade, or I'm not in school anymore, but I get a good grade. And then I'm like, oh, okay, see, well, that works for me. That works for a short amount of time, but you wreck your body. You absolutely wreck your body doing that. And then you have like a week or two. I would have a week or two after that happened where I was just so burnt out that I couldn't do anything afterwards. Okay? So how you get these hormones out of your body is you have to do some type of physical activity. You can do jumping jacks. Like if you only do like 10 jumping jacks, it will help you. Or if you go work out, or if you just do like a light jog like in your living room, or run around your kitchen, something, or if you can zap yourself to the present moment. So something I recommend is sticking your hands in ice water because it shocks your central nervous system. It literally shocks it and it resets it. So stick your hands in really cold water. Okay, or jump up and down, or yoga is great. Yoga is beautiful. Doing some stretches, like if you just stretch like this, right, and like move your body around, it helps release the crystalline energy. You have to do some type of physical activity for yourself every single day if you are an empath. And I'm not saying you need to work out for 45 minutes. I'm saying you can do 10 jumping jacks if you feel like that you're getting stressed, or put your hands in cold water. But like that the stress hormones are going to crystallize and harden in your body, and then you get addicted to that state. And so you look for experiences to make you stressed, to make that come online for you. That was me. I would find any way to get myself stressed and anxious because that is the only way I knew how to get things done. And so you have to break yourself out of those cycles, or you will wreak havoc on your body and your mind and your spirit. So physical activity, icy cold water, using essential oils is great for your central nervous system. Anything that invokes your 5 physical senses, like taste, touch, smell. Sometimes if you're really anxious and you pick up a book and you just start reading, it will snap you out of your fight or flight. Any way that you can engage your 5 senses. You can use peppermint oil, eucalyptus oil, you can use lemongrass. There's lots of different ones that you can use. But it's just like smelling it, like invoking your 5 physical senses helps you. And grounding. I have a whole slide for that. But grounding is amazing. If you go outside and you put your feet on the bare earth, we have electrical currents running through our body. If you go outside and put your feet on the bare earth, the earth will take that negative energy from you. What's even better, if you stomp on the earth, you stomp on the ground, it supercharges that electrical current in your body, and it will take all of the negative emotions, feelings that you're having and your stress, and it will take it out of your body. If you can do 10 minutes of grounding every day as an empath, and I did that right before this class because I was feeling anxious. I went outside and I sat with my feet on the earth and I felt so much better, and I did it for 5 minutes. It really resets your central nervous system. Okay? As empaths and light workers, we are prone to have our central nervous system and fight or flight on all the time if you are not grounding and getting those stress hormones out of your body. And it makes it very difficult to mitigate in the world because you're always stressed and anxious. Grounding and doing a physical activity every day is so important. And finding ways to motivate yourself and fuel your energy without having to rely on stress. Okay? Okay. So, this is, we're going to shift here. Looks like I'm going to be on here until like 1:30. I'm trying to get as much through this as I can. Okay. Setting up energetic boundaries. Okay, so I'm just going to read all these little bubbles, and we're going to talk about boundaries and why boundaries are important. So if anybody wants the recording that I did of this, it's 3 hours long. It's really long. It was my first time teaching like a big class, and so I did my best. And the PowerPoint is attached to it, the one I'm reading from now. You can Instagram me, and I'll send it to you. It's a Zoom recording, but I'll send it to you. Just Instagram me, and there's a link in my bio. Okay, so the power of no. No, 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 no. As empaths, we do not like to say no because we want to help everybody and help everything and through everything. But like I said, you only have so much energy for the day. This is how much energy you have every day, this cup. If you are giving, every day after that is just, you're starting from like a depleted place. Just you're depleted already. So you only have so much. You have to be mindful of how much you have every day. We're going to get into energy vampires in a second. You only have so much every day. So you really need to do assessments every day and say, how much do I have to give? And when I say how much do I have to give, the first thing that you need to say is, how much do I have to give to me? And then how much do I have to give to other people? You don't need to give from your cup unless it's overfilling. Unless you're having a day that it's overfilling and you're like, dang, I have so much energy today. I can help people. I feel great. If that is not the case, you don't need to help other people. Because I'm going to say this, and it's something that I learned along my journey, is that the most important person in your life is you. That's it. It doesn't matter if you have a husband or a wife or a relationship or kids. It does not matter who is in your life. You are the most important person in your life. I spent 27 years of my life giving, and I destroyed myself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I had a relationship, I had a business, I was in school, I was taking care of my grandma, I had a son, or I have a son, and I was just giving, and I lost myself completely. I completely lost myself. And I'm going to use this analogy. When there is a airplane, okay, and you are going down, like the airplane is, I know this is kind of morbid, but the airplane is going down, okay? You cannot help people put on their oxygen masks until you put on yours first. You cannot help people. You are doing a disservice to people if you are helping them from a depleted place, because you aren't really helping them from your full capacity. You are helping them from a depleted place, and you are not serving you or them. So I have a son. I have a 10-year-old son. But I know that if I do not take care of my wants and my needs and my energy body, that I cannot take care of him properly, and I will be teaching him the exact same thing. And it will keep going generationally. So I used to, I'm speaking to the moms, and here are dads, moms or dads. Sometimes we overgive to our children and sacrifice and endure, because that's what society tells us, is that we just have to give no matter what. But if you're not taking care of yourself, you aren't really giving to them like you could. You have to do things to take care of yourself first. You have to take care of yourself first, especially being an empath and a light worker. Because we have a natural tendency and natural ability to want to help people, but we can't help people unless we take care of ourselves first. And so when I say no, I really had to learn that, you don't have to say no. There's other ways around about that you can tell people you can't do the thing, or you don't have the energy, or you don't have the space. One, I realized that when people would text me or call me, that I would have to message them immediately back because I thought that they wouldn't like me, or that I was letting them down or disappointing them. When new people come into my life, like new acquaintances, new friends, I tell them right off the bat, I am not the person that will text you right back. I'm not. It may take me 3 or 4 days to get back to you. If it's something that's very important or like, you know, time-based, I'll respond to you and I'll let you know. But I am not the type of person that gets back to you immediately. That's with dating, that's with friends, that's any type of relationship. I say I am not that person. I do not always have the time, space, or energy for that. And that's something I had to learn because I was so afraid of abandonment and people not liking me that I'd be like, oh, I gotta like be with everybody and text them all the time and call them all the time, like, and you just don't. And if those type of people are asking that from you, those type of people probably don't need to be in your inner circle. Because the people that I have now in my life that are my friends, like my very close friends and my family, they go 3 or 4 days without messaging me sometimes, and it's just a mutual understanding. We all have lives, we're all adults, we all have things that we need to do, and we don't always need to be up on each other's stuff all the time. Okay, they're still going to be there. If they are your friends and you don't message them back for 4 days, and they are still there, they're going to be there. And if they're not, and they say, I can't be friends with you, then peace out. Because we're all adults and we have things to do. Okay, and sometimes we don't have the energy or the space. Especially if you're a healer. If you're a natural healer or an empath, you have to reserve, and you do this for a living like me, you have to reserve energy pockets for that intentionally. Because if I'm just giving people energy and like all this stuff, I'm not going to have anything left for my job. You know what I mean? So I let people know up front. And another thing that a tip for this is, if you are having a conversation with somebody and they're like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this thing? You can say, I have to do something weird. Okay, so I say, I will have to get back to you. And I do get back to that person and I let them know. I'm not saying leave them hanging, but you have to get back to that person later to give you enough space to decide whether you have the energy and time for that. And you have to be okay with rescheduling. Okay, it froze on my end. Let me check my internet. Okay, that's probably why, because I'm not connected to my Wi-Fi. Okay, can everybody hear me? Am I still frozen? If you can hear me, just say yes. Because I don't want to keep on going if my internet connection's wonky. If anybody can hear me still talking, if you will. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so what I was saying is you have to be okay with rescheduling too, because the way that we're set up as empaths and light workers, our energy is very shifty. And so I have realized, like, it's okay to reschedule with people. If I'm not with it and I don't have the energy or the time or space, I'll just tell them, hey, I can't. I don't have it. I don't have it today. I'm sorry. Can we reschedule? And I'm not saying to do that all the time, but like, you have to self-preserve. I have gotten to the point in my life where if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. I don't have the time or space or energy for that. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Or I'll tell people, like, I don't have the time or energy. And if they don't understand that, they don't need to be in your inner circle. You need to find people that get you and understand you and surround yourself with those people. Because otherwise it's just a game of how much can I exhaust myself trying to keep up with these people. Right? Okay. So also, so saying no, knowing how much energy you have, creating space in between you so you can get back to them and say, like, I gotta ask, I gotta look at my schedule and get back to you. Okay? And being okay with rescheduling and telling people no. Okay? Okay, filling your cup up. We talked about that. Like, you only have so much energy every day. You have to be mindful of, in the morning, doing an assessment of yourself. Before you get on your phone, this is a big one for me too, that I have learned, is that when you get up in the morning time as an empath and a light worker, you really need to ask yourself, how much is in my cup today? Is it spilling over? Okay, if it is, then what do I want to spend my extra time and energy on? If it's not, and you have a cap on your energy cup, then you know that you cannot overextend yourself, because that will ruin your days the next couple days. And then you'll just be dragging yourself for no reason. So every morning, get a cup, if you need to, like a physical representation, and say, how much do I have today? Because some days we have 3D jobs that are very difficult and very hard on us, especially if you work around a lot of people. Yeah, sometimes you have a really small cup. That's okay. That's okay. And you can learn to make a bigger cup. But sometimes you have jobs that are very taxing, and you only have enough energy for that, and that's okay. That's totally okay. Okay. All right. How can you... Okay. So, shielding. We're going to talk about aha moments first. Okay, aha moments. I'm probably going to be on here till 2. I didn't mean to be on for 2 hours, but that's okay. We're just going to do it. So, aha moments. So, a lot of times as empaths, we like to help other people and help them figure out what they have going on in their life. Okay, and like, oh, these are all your behavioral patterns, and this is what's going on in your subconscious, and let me help you. I can be your therapist. I can be your life coach, blah, 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 right? Because same. I did that for a very long time with everybody. And like I said before, for anybody joining in, people can only meet you with how deeply they've met themselves. Okay? I'm going to get a little woo esoteric here. So I believe that we all have soul contracts. And what I mean by soul contracts is that before you come into this life, you lay out your life plan. Okay? And what you're going to go throughout your life. Sometimes you as an empath or a light worker are not meant to help somebody learn their lesson. Sometimes you are not meant to teach them what they need to know. You are not meant to save them, because in their soul contract, they came here to learn that lesson themselves. And let me ask you something, everybody in the chat right now. Do you learn something better by somebody telling you, or are you learning it yourself? People have to have their own aha moments. Sometimes you are not meant to step onto their path and teach them the lesson. You're just not. It is not your responsibility to teach somebody how to function in the world and how to manage their own energy. It is not your job. You are in charge of you. You are not in charge of anybody else. It is not your responsibility to help anyone but yourself. Now, that's a little different if you have kids. Okay, like there are some people that everybody gets what I'm saying. Like I have a son, obviously I'm going to help him and teach him, but you are not responsible for anybody's feelings, thoughts, or emotions except for your own. We are not here to change other people and teach them how to live. And that's something that I had to learn. People are doing their own thing on their own process, on their own journey, and we can be a support, but we are not meant to transmute their stuff for them and help them change their lives. Unless there's an equal energy exchange and they're helping you with that too. Or you do it for work. Maybe you're a healer. But even being a healer and doing that for work, you're getting paid to do that. That is an equal energy exchange. You are responsible for you and you alone. Okay, so if somebody does something and they're like, oh, I just can't figure this out, blah, 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 that you don't have to go in and root around their subconscious and help them figure out their life. Like sometimes people have to do that for themselves. Because if you just tell somebody how to fix something in their life, that doesn't mean that they're actually going to do it or internalize that information. So let me ask a question. People in the chat right now, do you feel like you have friends or family member that tell you the same story over and over and over again? And you tell them the same advice over and over and over again, and that just keeps happening, like that cycle? Because you aren't meant to help them. Exactly. Don't help them. because you are just there. What's happening when people do that to you? I'm looking down at everybody in the chat. What happens when people do that to you? This is very important. My guides are like, let's really reiterate this to people. This is you, and this is your person that you're talking to. And they're like, I have all this stuff going on in my life. I don't know how to fix it, blah, 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 blah. And so you are raising their frequency and telling them how to fix it, but you're not actually fixing anything. You're just putting a Band-Aid on it and making them temporarily feel better because you gave them like some support and care and love. And so they're just going to take from you, not fix anything, not change anything, and then come back to do it again. So you are actually the enabler. You are the enabler. If you're the blah, blah, blah person, sometimes it's us. I'm not saying we're better than anybody because we play these roles too. Okay? Sometimes I'm the blah, blah, blah person. Right? And so you have to be mindful of like what you got going on too. Okay. But again, if you're the blah, blah, blah person, like I do that sometimes, I have to say, why am I extending outside of myself instead of going internally and looking at my own issues and trying to get somebody involved and wrapped up in my situation? Okay. How do you say you already told me that? Sometimes you have to tell, sometimes, this is really tricky, especially like really close family members and friends. I'm going to give you a piece of advice that has really helped me along my journey with people like this, that are just like telling you the same thing over and over again, and you're just like, please stop. Okay? Because they're not really going to do anything about it. They're asking you to put an energetic Band-Aid on it and raise their frequency and make them feel better. Assholes. Okay. So what I used to do with people is I used to get in their subconscious and then try and make them look at it from a different perspective and help them see it in a different way. Like every time they used to come with me with the same conversation, and I was like, well, have you looked at it this way? Have you tried this? Have you done this? And I would just exhaust myself trying to like come up with all these different like therapy modalities for them. This is what I do now. So if somebody has been coming to me with the same, and this is not a judgment thing, because we all have these cycles in our own selves that we get into and it's hard to get out of. So this is not a judgment against people. But if somebody is blatantly pulling at your energy and taking from you and not going to do anything about it and they're just using you, I say, when they tell me the story, I say, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. Like that, I don't dig around. I'm just like, wow, that sucks. You can say that. I want everybody in the chat right now to say, wow, that's crazy. That's all you have to say. And they will stop coming to you. People will treat you however you let them. Or yeah, they will treat you however you let them treat you. And they're doing it subconsciously. Like they don't even know they're doing this to you. They don't even know. They don't even know about this frequency raising, right? They don't know that. Okay, but we do now. And so you can literally say, that's crazy. And as soon as you stop digging around in people's subconscious and you say, I'm not doing that, and just be like, wow, that sucks. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if it's family. Like even if it is family. Like especially family. Family can be very triggering because y'all have a lot of trauma and anxiety and emotions like intertwined with one another, and they trigger your past versions of yourself. If it's family doing the same thing, you can say, wow, that's crazy, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about saying that to everything and everyone. I'm saying if this is a person that is specifically tugging on your energy and just wanting you to put an energetic Band-Aid on something and make them feel better temporarily, don't do it. Say, that sucks. I'm sorry. Wow, that's crazy. And they will stop asking that from you. They will stop. They will reach a point where they say, oh, I'm not getting what I used to get from them. Let me go do that to somebody else. And like, I'm sorry, like if that's somebody else, I'm sorry to whoever that other person is that they're going to shift to, but that's not our responsibility. Okay? But everybody in here, can I just say you're a light and I need this morning. Thank you. You're welcome. You're very welcome. You do not It is not your responsibility to make somebody feel better. Unless you hurt them, obviously. Like if you hurt their feelings, you know what I mean? Like if you did something to them. But otherwise, it's not your responsibility. I'm going to give you an example. Okay? Let me move my contacts. I'm going to move off screen because my contacts get dry when I be talking and squint my eyes. So, I'll give you an example. So somebody I know, who I'm not super close with, but it's like an acquaintance that I'm around sometimes, they did something what I call downshifting. So this is when somebody comes up to you and they're talking to you, and all of a sudden you can feel their energy start to drop, and they're asking you to help energetically raise them up. Like you can tell they went down into sadness or like a lower vibration, and they're looking to you for you to raise them up. I would just naturally do that because I love raising people's frequencies and making them feel better, but that comes at a cost. That comes at a cost to you. And so I had to do an assessment and say, is this going to help this person if I do that? And I knew it wasn't. I knew it was just them asking me to temporarily help them feel better. And so I was like, dang, I'm sorry. And then I could feel them say, oh, she's not going to help raise my frequency. And they went on their merry way. They did not continue that behavior because I did not allow it. I said, no, I'm not doing that. And I didn't say it no out loud in my mind. I said it in my energetic body. I'm not doing that. And then they stopped. So that's what a lot of people in here need to learn to do. When you feel somebody is tugging and grabbing at your energy, you need to hold an energetic boundary and say, I'm not doing that. But that also means you have to stop rooting around in their subconscious and thinking that it's your responsibility to make them feel better or figure out their life situations for them, because it's not your responsibility. It's just simply not. And we have to reserve that energy for the people who give us equal energy exchanges. The people that are inner circle, that want the best for us and are equals. I don't mean equals like above and below, just people that are good for us and giving us equal energy back. If you're constantly giving your energy to people who are draining you, you're just doing a disservice to yourself and treating yourself like boo-boo. Okay? Save your energy for people who are going to utilize it and give you energy back as well. Like I have conversations with some people that is so incredibly draining, and then I have conversations with people who are also going through similar things. But the way that they work is that we have a co-collaborative healing space instead of a unequal healing space. So it doesn't drain me to talk to them. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm probably not going to get through this whole PowerPoint slide because it's so much information. But I'm going to stay on for like 15 more minutes and just keep talking. And then I may have to do like a two-parter. Okay. So mirrors and mirrors. So this is a big one. So as light workers and empaths, this is what makes it a little difficult to mitigate throughout the world, is because when people come up to us as empaths and light workers, we are a mirror of their subconscious. Because like that's what we do. We go into people's subconscious and we show them what's not working. We show them their behavioral patterns, and then we mirror that back to them. So in saying this, I realized as an empath that I was very triggering for a lot of people. That people sometimes don't like being around me. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but you feel like people don't like you. That they get weird around you. That they, are like giving you kind of like, what's going on with you type of energy, okay? And giving you kind of like nasty looks or giving you just like weird vibes, okay? So and they're intimidated by you. Yes. Okay. So it's a weird dichotomy, because on one hand, we have a lot of people come up to us and tell us our life story, and we're like, oh, well, people like me, obviously, because they want to tell me all this stuff. But then on the other hand, it's like all these people like don't like us and are weird around us and like get intimidated, and they make us feel bad for just existing. What that is that because we raise frequencies as light workers and empaths, we're mirrors. And so when people look at us, they see their subconscious patterning within themselves, but they see it in us, but it's actually in them. They see what's going on inside of them projected as us, because we raise frequencies and we raise. So if they're in a real low frequency, what happens is we get in their energy field, in their energy bubble, and we say, hey, look at all this stuff that you haven't healed. And they're like, ugh, what is that? Why are you doing that? Okay. This is saying, though, that you have to be more mindful of projecting that healing energy towards people, because some people are not ready for that and they don't want it. I used to just go around all willy-nilly out in public, you know, projecting my healing energy everywhere, even if it's like subconsciously and I don't know I'm doing it. And then I get a lot of people like that are looking at me like, ugh. It's because we're mirrors for people. And that's not saying that we don't have stuff inside of us that needs to be healed too, because there's lots of stuff that we always will be working on. But I know that I've been around some other empaths and light workers, and it's triggering for me because I see in them the stuff that I need to heal in me. It's a mirror. And so that's why I'm saying you have to be mindful of you projecting your healing energy towards people, because sometimes people aren't ready for that, or they don't want to be healed. And so when you go out in public, you can say, I am not going to have that just on and open. You can turn it off like a light switch and say, I'm turning my healing energy off. I'm turning my healing energy down. I'm turning it down. I'm only utilizing it for people that intentionally want to be healed and that are going to give me an energy exchange. You can change the lenses of your perception. It's working with your filter, learning how to filter out people that are good for you and that are going to give you an equal energy exchange. Okay, so since I'm only going to be on here for like a minute longer, not a minute, but like 15 minutes, I really want to talk about energetic shielding. I didn't get into gaslighting and energy vampires and all this stuff. I just didn't have time. So energetic shielding is so important. So the way that energetic shielding, where my bangs are all over the place. So energetic shielding, the way that energetic shielding works is that it's a lot about intentions. Okay? The intentions that you're holding. That is how energy works, is intentions. Okay? And so I'm going to explain what I do for my life. That has really helped me. Okay? So first, in the morning time, when I'm in the shower in the morning time, I say, you can create any type of shield you want around you. Any type of shield. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll just say what I use. Look up energetic shield. If anybody does anything today, that take away from this is to look up energetic shielding and energetic clearing. If you are an empath or a light worker or ADHD or autistic or a manifesting generator, please, 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 please look up energetic shielding and energetic clearing and focus on that. It will change your life. It will completely change your life. It did for me. So I get in the shower and I imagine that there is a galaxy ball around me, like a big giant galaxy ball, like real big galaxy ball. And I ask the galaxy ball, I say, no one can perceive me unless it is for my highest and greatest good. No one can perceive me unless it is for my highest and greatest good. And so when I go out into the world, I have a big galaxy energetic ball around me, and it significantly made a difference in my life. I don't have people projecting their stuff onto me anymore. I don't have people giving me those looks anymore because I'm not having an open mirror for people. I get compliments from people all day long. I have beautiful interactions with people. I don't feel anxious around people anymore. I can go out in public, even in like real big places, and mitigate the world much easier. You have to have intentionally placed shields around you. And so I say, no one can perceive me unless it is for my highest and greatest good. Okay, I have 3 layers of shields that I put on in the morning. The next layer I put on is a Merkabah, and I'm going to show you what a Merkabah looks like. Okay, so this is a Merkabah. Okay, so a Merkabah this is kind of esoteric, but a Merkabah is a energetic transport vehicle. And so inside of my galaxy ball, I'm inside of a Merkabah, and I program and ask the Merkabah, I say, can you take me to higher dimensional planes of prosperity, abundance, peace, light, joy, serenity, just anything that you want to bring into your field. You can ask your Merkabah to help take you to those higher dimensional planes. Okay, but like I'm saying, you don't have to use these. There's lots, like some people will do like a different chakra light ball every day. Some people do the violet flame. It's really about intentions and remembering you have a shield around you. Okay, so my third shield that I have around me is a mirror wall. I have a mirror wall shield. And I program and I ask the mirror wall shield, I say, if people send me positive vibrations, they are able to penetrate my shield and I receive them and they get positive vibrations back. So it's like a co-creative shield as well. Like it's an amplification of healing and unity consciousness. Like if you send me good vibrations, you get good vibrations back, right? And I'll send you them and you give them to me back. If people send me negative vibrations, they are stopped at my mirror wall shield and the universe shows them love, care, compassion, and support. They do not penetrate my shield. So I have all 3 layers running throughout the day. And when I start to get stressed and I start to get anxious and people start to kick on my fight or flight, I can reactivate my shields and cleanse those things out of my body. And you have to train yourself to remember to do this. Like it's not something that you're always going to remember to do first off, or maybe you do. I had to practice every single day and make it a daily practice, and it has changed my life. It really has. Okay, now at the end of the day, this is very important at the end of the day, especially if you're around a lot of people and you're a healer. So sometimes I do it in the shower, sometimes I just do it right before I go to bed. So I say this 3 times because I think there's a real power in saying things 3 times. So I say, I call back all of my energy that I have given to others across all space, time, and dimensions. I call back all of my energy that I have given to others across all space, time, and dimensions. I give back any energy that I have taken from people across all space, time, and dimensions. So I take back all of my energy and I give back any energy that I have taken. I like to say across all space, time, and dimensions because we have energetic time stamps of things that run in the past, present, and future, and we have concurrently running timelines. You don't have to believe in that. If you don't, that's okay. It just is a good coverall. Okay? So, and then I say one time after that, I call back all of my energy from anyone who is using it without my permission or without my consent for my highest and greatest good. Because I'm not saying that there's like evil people looking at you and doing wonky stuff, but even like I make social media and sometimes people don't have that's me opening up my energy body, and sometimes people don't have the best intentions for you. And they project that towards you. And even though it's through a phone, it's really through the etheric field. And so if you call it back to you and say, I'm calling back all of my energy that anyone is using without my permission or without my consent, it's a good coverall. Okay? And then something that I also recommend if you're an empath or you're a light worker is to listen to affirmations right before you go to bed. Like when you are about to fall asleep, your subconscious is the most open to suggestion. because you're in theta state and you're like calm and relaxed. And so that's the time where it'll go into your subconscious. Okay. And so that can help you too. Or listening to Reiki videos on YouTube. Reiki practitioners, there's lots of different YouTube Reiki. You got to find the ones that align with your body. Reiki's, I want to preface this, if you're listening to Reiki before bed, not all Reiki practitioners or Reiki modalities are for you. Different Reiki resonates on different frequencies and different levels for people. So you got to find, don't fall asleep to a Reiki video unless you listen to that person first and you feel it feels good in your body. Be mindful of your energy body. Protect your energy body. Okay? Okay. Also, something that has really helped me, not everybody believes in crystals. But if you do, I really recommend getting, singing bowls are great. Sound clearing is a beautiful way to help with your energy. And so sound baths, singing bowls, listening to those, or binaural beats are a great way to flush other people's stuff out of your body. But you have your own willpower. You can simply say, I am releasing anything out of my system that is not mine, or for my highest grade is good. Like, if that's all you do at the end of the day, that's great. Do that. Okay, so this is jasper up top, and then this is black tourmaline at the bottom. If you're going to be around a lot of people, or just, living life, these are great to keep in your pocket. Black tourmaline is for protection, and then jasper is for grounding, because empaths and light workers, can always use a lot of help with grounding. Selenite is great. Selenite is a great clearing tool, cleansing tool, and you can just wave it over your body, and then ask the selenite to take anybody's stuff off you that doesn't need to be there. I just cannot preface enough that if you're an empath or a light worker, or have ADHD or autism or RA, and I'm not a doctor, but if you are experiencing anxiety and depression, or heaviness, or things that aren't yours, it is so very important that you clear off people's stuff at the end of the day. Also, showers and baths are great because water is an amplifier, and water is also representative of our emotions, and you can program water. You can program water. You can say, can you please take away that? I'm also playing water binaural beats for everybody in the background for cleansing. You can ask the water to help clear away anything that's not yours. So ask it before you get in the shower or before you get in the bathtub. Hey, water, would you mind taking away, washing away anybody's stuff that is no longer mine? Okay? Okay. I know I talked for like an hour or hour 45 minutes. I have so much more to share, but I just don't have the time today. So I'm going to have to do like a part 2. So I did this class originally like 6 months ago, and it was the first big class that I had ever taught. And I have it recorded. It's 3 hours long. Excuse me. It's 3 hours long. It was my first class that I taught, so it's kind of, just keep that in mind. But it has the PowerPoint with it, and it has a ton of resources that you can use to learn how to be an empath, how to mitigate being an empath, how to do shielding. I talk, a lot. I kind of got really tired at the last hour, so it's not as impactful the last hour, so just keep that in mind, but it is still helpful. If you want the information, you can send me a message on my Instagram up here in the link, and then I'll send you the info. So just shoot me a message, and then I'll send you the PowerPoint, and I'll send you the Zoom, the recorded Zoom. If anybody, I do Akashic record readings, and I do Reiki, and I do life coaching. I'll do a lot of different things. I do empath one-on-one sessions as well. So if you feel like you're really struggling as an empath and you need some more individualized guidance, I do that as well. There's links all in my bio. I also do Reiki lives and Oracle card reading lives. So if you follow me, it'll let you know when I come on to do those. You're very welcome. I hope this helps somebody. It was a very last minute thing that I decided to do because my guides were like, hey, there's a lot of empaths that are struggling a little bit. So we want you to come on and have a chat. I'm reading the orange book link you sent me. Oh, great. The Akashic Record, Akashic Record book. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad everybody enjoyed. Hopefully it helps. If anybody ever has any questions, you can always reach out to me on social media, and I can help you when I get some time. I can send you in some directions of some resources. I will say one thing for everybody that's still in here, the 60 people that are in here. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you something. These are the people that really, really helped me. Like, they changed my life. Like, you look these people up. Let me get to the slide. Like, if you're an empath and you're really struggling, like, these people will help you. They're reiterating everything I'm saying to you, but this is more, like, accessible because, like, they have tons of content out. I don't have as much content. If I can get to it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. So, let me see if their name will pop up. Oh, nope. Hold on. This will be on the PowerPoint, too. Like, this is all on the PowerPoint. Okay, so this is Victor Oddo. Victor Oddo. It's VICTORODDO. He specializes in empaths. And I followed him at the beginning of my spiritual awakening journey, and he really changed my life. Like, I really recommend looking him up. Victor Oddo. The next person, this is Christina Lopes. Christina Lopes, L-O-P-E-S, or Z, I can't remember. Christina Lopes. She has a lot of information about being an empath and a light worker. I really recommend looking those two people up. Victor Oddo and Christina Lopes on YouTube. They have like thousands of hours of information on empaths and light workers. And so if you're looking for some additional help, they can definitely do that for you. Thank you everyone for all the gifts. I appreciate that. It helps me be able to come on and do this for people. If you want to make a donation, there's a Cash App and a Venmo link in my bio, and I always greatly appreciate whatever people can give. Thank you. Or even a follow. That's great too, and I'll let you know when I do this in the future. I'm going to have to do a part 2. And so I'm going to find a time and then post it up in, you know, where you see like my bio pic, and then underneath where it'll have like the time and day for it. I'll find a time and a day, and then I'll go ahead and post it. It'll probably be about the same time because everybody seems like, you know, this was a good time for everybody. So again, thank you everyone. I hope this helped. Yeah, check out the PowerPoint. Again, it's a 3-hour long of me talking. If you want a reading, a personalized reading, I do those. There's a link in my bio. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I had a lot of fun chatting, and you know what? I need to hear all this stuff too. Victor Oddo. O-D-D-O. O-D-D-O. Victor Oddo. And I like doing these because it's a reiteration for me. Like, I need to hear everything that I said because I need to do those things, continue to do those things to keep myself safe and protected and healthy and happy. Okay. Again, everybody, it was a pleasure. If you want a personalized session with me, I do a lot of different things. There's a link in my bio. And I hope this helped. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day, and I will see everybody for part 2 in the future. Bye-bye.